Durham Museum here in Omaha, Nebraska. As you all may know, yesterday this YouTube channel turned 10 years old, and also I am at the Durham where I recorded the very first video 10 years ago, and one day later the channel would be established. So I'm just going to give you a brief tour around the building. I'm not going to show you every part for 5 years and 8 days from today. So without that being said, let's get started. Hello, hello, Dakota 3001 says. Right back at you. Well, anyways, right here in this corner, we see right here is hands-on experience for that kids like to do, like these wheels, as you can see, have them go down the tracks. And as you can see how the wheels work, here's a picture of the steam engine on how we're about to look at. And if you could, I'll give you a moment to read that. I'll just pause for a moment. The Harriman line, which is what the engine served on. And also, here's what looks like a steam pressure thing. So push this button and you see what that just did. Makes that go up. That's an air compressor we hear somewhere. And in front of the steam engine, you could see this is something that you'd see a steam locomotive do. Yeah. Well, anyways, let's look at the steam engine. Or first, let's show you the bell on. So this was the last video, the first episode to ever be made. They also have that, over the years, they put that fabric around it to keep it from making noise. That's why it rings soft now. So this bell came off a Los Angeles and Salt Lake engine built by the Schenectady Works in Schenectady, New York in 1912, engine 3177. Now let's look at the steam engine. So here is engine 1243 that was built in 1890 by the Cook Locomotive and Machine Works in Paterson, New Jersey. And this is a 460 10-wheeler engine and is a Class T 57. Now, as you saw that picture back in the corner of what the locomotive's tender used to look like, it was later given this tender. Originally, it was numbered 1477 till 1915 when it was given its present number. Now, as you may know, there used to be a platform where you could view the cab, but since I don't know if it has anything to do with COVID, but when COVID-19 happened, I was told it might have had something to do with COVID-19 or something, but they removed it 5 years ago. So here's the cab of the engine, and we cannot climb over the fence or into the cab because they don't want us in the cab, so this is as far as I'm going to go. But you can see the firebox glowing, and there's a load of coal. This engine was a coal-burning steam engine. The engine was designed to haul freight trains on branch lines on the Union Pacific Railroad in the state of Nebraska and Wyoming. It's also got a system that survives still, and it's up in Cheyenne at Lines Park. And also, it was retired in 1956, and it was kept on a flat car, and it would be taken to certain events across the system, such as Rail Fair in Sacramento. Now there's the cylinder right there. So when the wheel goes back and forth, it allows the piston and go to move it down the tracks. Right there, that's the smokestack. And right there is the sand dome. There's the bell, and there's the steam dome and the 5-chime whistle. And now we're going to go up to the caboose. This car was built in 1964 by the International Car Company in Kenton, Ohio. And this is a CA8 class caboose. It is a C8A. This car was retired in 1986 and has been part of the collection since then. And it's still one of the original pieces here, because when this organization started, they had an E8 class diesel locomotive, E8 type locomotive, and a car built for the Milwaukee Road somewhere back in this area. And the E8 was built by Automotive Division, Illinois, 1950. And later, and since in 1999, in the 90s, I'm going to say, it was sold back to Union Pacific, which they now use it as a parts locomotive to keep their heritage equipment in operation. Let's go inside the caboose. Now, as you can, first of all, let's talk about this. This is called a FRED, which is abbreviated flashing rear end device, because ever since they stopped using cabooses, they use these on the back end of freight trains. So, also, this car is where the crew would do their work and such. They would even rest right here, as these would work as beds. And up here is the cupola, where the crew would watch the end of the train. That's the handbrake, because lots of kids like to play with that. But anyways, up there, this is the cupola. Also, although it's fun to be up there, but we cannot be up in this cupola because, as you can see, they put these signs above the steps because the museum wants us to have a safe visit, because if anyone fell down from here, it'd be fatal or a bad injury. And also, when I was a kid, I thought that'd be like a monkey bar, but it's not. But again, people, please do not attempt to climb up there for safety purposes. And here, right here, is a coal-burning stove, which would keep the crew warm while in the car, while doing their work. And here's another bed, it looks like. And this is a desk where they do their work. And hello to everyone leaving comments. And also, here's a map or a timeline of the railroad, the Union Pacific Railroad's construction and such, and all these years of the Union Pacific. The trolley used to be next to this wall right here, but a few years ago, or maybe 6 years ago, if I remember correctly, they moved it back there. So you may be wondering, how did they move it from right here to right there? Well, the answer may surprise you, because they put it on floating devices to move it across on metal plates to move it to the present location, to the present spot it is in now. Now, as you can see by these flags up here, these tell you what railroad stopped here at this very station in 1931. When the station was completed in 1931 till it discontinued operations in 1972. So here's what the station used to look like back when it was a working train station. And that's the Omaha and Counts Bluffs Railway trolley system going over 10th Street, which the trolley car I just pointed out would have seen service over those tracks years ago. So as you can tell, freight trains even traveled through this area, and also trains would stop, and that's the Burlington station, which is right there. And it was vacant for many years till about a decade ago. It was restored as a working news station, as it is today. As you can see that number 7 on the roof, because it's Channel 7. And the building to the left of it is the Amtrak station, because Amtrak passenger trains stop here in Omaha, and the California Zephyr makes a stop here around 4 and 5 in the morning, and also going toward Chicago, which is train number 6. Train number 5 stops here around between 10 and 11 o'clock in the evening, heading toward Emeryville, California, which is near San Francisco. And also, BNSF trains run along those tracks mostly, and Union Pacific along the tracks. So I think I should explain how I set up my camera 10 years ago. I will want to say I put my camera on this trash can right here and had it lined up, or probably all the spots where I set everything up are probably gone, because I know I put my camera on the platform that they used to have here, and also it was removed a long time ago when I rang the bell and when I put it in front of the steam engine. Well, the museum has to close in 30 minutes, so I can't waste time explaining how I did this, but I'm just gonna be brief, because I have to be out of here pretty soon, because they're about to close up for the night. Now, that's a signal light that was used on the railroads years ago till being retired, and was here. And as you can see how it's attached to that pillar right there. This car was originally built in 1917 by the Omaha and Counts Bluffs Railways, and those are just makeshift wheels below, and I'll explain these coaches in a bit. This car saw service around here, like I said. Now, back behind these doors, against these walls back here, are non-train related exhibits you would find. And also, this car saw service here in Omaha, and it's one of 2 Omaha and Counts Bluffs Railway cars. So as you can see, if the trolley had to go the other direction, it would go in reverse, but since it would go on a loop, there's one control stand at the end of the car. So as you can see on the wall here, is Omaha in the old days. Pretty amazing, huh? And this is where the motorman would sit. Not all of the controls were spared. Oh, and I should show you this real quick. So this is the key that makes it go backwards, forwards, or keep it in neutral. Put it in neutral. This would be the throttle, which would accelerate it. And the doors, they removed them prior to putting it on display here. Now, as you can tell, the windows are open and you could stick your heads out because, and act like many people like to stick their heads out the trolley window to act like they're riding the trolley. In this glass case right here are model trains from the Union Pacific Historical Collection. And if anyone knows what scale these are, I can't tell what they are. Please let me know. Here's a 464 Hudson, and I think that's a mountain type. Here's the M10000 on this top shelf. Cars in the Pullman green color. Some refrigerator cars below, one in steel, one in made of wood. Here's a model of Union Pacific 9000. The original is at the Rail Giants Museum in Pomona, California, near Los Angeles. Now, this is a model railroad display they have here, which this layout was constructed back in 1999, but was completed in 2000. And this is an O-scale layout, modeled after the rail line between Omaha and Ogden. And that's a Milwaukee Road diesel they have. And I just pushed this button and made that train activate. And that's Bugs Bunny, Looney Tunes that's playing on that screen. This is a drive-in movie theater that they put together some years ago. Because during my first two visits, I remember seeing this under construction. So Depot Notebook, if I push the button, wonder what they have this well detailed safe railway Depot Notebook. And also there's 2014, and now they have a gingerbread show 9000. I just showed you the model, Henry. And also, since it's after Christmas, they still have their Christmas stuff up. And here's the end of the model railroad display. Right back there is where they had an HO scale model railroad that was displayed here. It's now in Sioux City at the Railroad Museum. And also, oh yeah, and this turntable, you could press this button to make it turn around like so. We used to enter the coaches from here, but now we can enter through the back. So let's start with this car. This is car 2986, built 1949 for the Southern Pacific Railroad. And also, this car is a lounge car. It was originally painted silver with a red pinstripe and later painted in the paint scheme you see it in today. And also, this car saw joint pool service on the Union Pacific Railroad with the Southern Pacific. And also, this car, I'll show you the inside of the car. And this car was later retired and ended up here. And there's an information board on when this car, I will look at the information board and find out when this car arrived here. So here's the information board. And this car was built by Pullman Standard, which is what the Pullman Company became known as when this car was built. And right here is the National Command car, number 1202, that was just named National Command and was built in 1955 by the same company as the lounge car. And it's got 6 roomettes, 4 bedrooms, and 6 open sections. It is one of only 12 national series of the Pullman sleeper cars built for the railroad. And in 1969, it was given the number. And it traveled between here and LA. In the 1970s, It was privately owned by a man named J.C. Johnson, and it later ended up back in service with the Union Pacific Heritage Fleet operations. In 1966, it found its new home here at the Durham Museum and was placed in its final resting spot. Half a decade ago, it was getting restored on the inside with aging carpet. So the carpet is brand new and reopened. Now this may look like a train station to you, and I just like how they put this like how it is. Now this car is the Cornhusker Club car that was built in 1924 by the Pullman Company for Harry S. Truman's train and traveled from DC to LA and from Nebraska to Idaho. It was originally named the Mount Doan car. And also, later it was renamed the Club car. And when it was retired, it was owned by Bill Kratville. And I met Bill Kratville's daughter and son-in-law. And also, Bill Kratville donated this car to the Durham Museum. And the 1924s when the Pullman Company was known as the Pullman Company. Now back here is where Harry S. Truman would have stood as he was given speeches. And this is an observation car. Now this is a meeting room where the executives would have meetings. You can tell by this nice looking case back here with goblets and such. Now let's go through this car. This is per section. In this car. It's neatly restored. And also, this car is about 102 years old. So here we go into the lounge car. And this is also where people would hang out and have a beverage to drink and even play cards and such. And I think there used to be a table right here, which got removed a long time ago. And there's the bar counter back there. So you can tell by those glass cups and goblets in that case. And also, this is where people would walk through and from car to car. This is a narrow hallways, you can tell, because it's hard to maneuver when you're walking through a narrow hallway. Now here's the sleeper car we're in, and here's the bathroom in case you had to use it or brush your teeth and such. Now this is the 6-section area of the car. And you can tell one of the beds are down. As you can tell the shape of it. Yeah. And also 6 open sections right here. And here's the 4-roomette section right here, as you can tell. And also, when I showed you around with the GoPro back in 2016, I didn't climb over because if I jumped over the case by, like, say, pressing down on this, it could have shattered. But we have to be mindful to the museum because they want to keep this going for years to come. They want to keep this open for visitors for many years to come. And here's the 6-roomette section. And here we are at the end of the car. This is the only part you can enter through, but yeah. And here's the way we exit. Now, as you can tell, this is not an entrance because this is only one way out. Because remember that narrow hallway I showed you? That's because it's a one way in, one way out. Now, this staircase right here is one of the original staircases from when the Union Station was an active train station, and it's the last of any of the staircases in the building or around the building. So as we go up, and I think that elevator's been there for a long time. Well, thank you, Henry. Now, as I mentioned, the E8 and the Milwaukee Road car, I think it was the Milwaukee was built by the Pullman Company, and its current location is unknown. It was either scrapped or who knows what could have happened to it. Oh, that's our warning. So we gotta wrap it up. So, map on the floor of Omaha, the Omaha area. And the 928 locomotive that was here is now in a sad state because, like I mentioned, it's no longer standing on its trucks. It's now used as a parts engine for the Union Pacific heritage operations. And yeah, as you can tell, there's dust here. So on January 15, 2031, I'll be here to celebrate 100 years of this building. And also, there used to be a corridor running along to right where those doors are, if you can see clearly, because that's how people would get to the platform to catch whatever train they were going on. But ever since this station closed, it became a museum and the corridor was taken down. And I think this elevator probably replaced a portion of the corridor. And that line used to be the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy Railroad. Even people like to come up here to watch trains from inside here. And also, they've still got Christmas tree display because they'll take them down soon. After 40 years, this station would close as a working train station. And here's how it would have looked back then. So 2016, the same year I created this channel. And they have statues, which looks like how people would be catching a train or waiting for someone to arrive by train. Now here's the main hall, which you can tell this is the big hall where several people would wait to go on their train and such. Here are the original benches, and I stood somewhere back there to point out the rail yard. One of these benches, I talked about them, and somewhere back there on that information desk where we paid mission is where I would stand in front to discuss the main hall. Now, you may be wondering about this big tree. Well, that's a tall tree because this tree, each year, as a tradition, they bring Christmas trees in here to taller trees like Union Pacific Railroad did. Bring them from the Pacific Northwest to put for decorations in here as they still do today. And people in the Omaha metro area donate tall trees that they would have had in their yard for years and just donate it to the Durham Museum. And a store called Mangelson's off 72nd Street, or I think it's 84th Street where it is, helps to decorate the tree. And Christmas at the Union Station is also sponsored by FNBO, First National Bank. And here's a schedule board. Oh, and I got to be out of here pretty soon because the museum's about to close. And this is an old schedule board. As you can see, this statue looks like a man looking at it, wondering when the train will depart or arrive and such. This part used to be the ticket office, but now it's the gift shop. Now look at the star up there. And you may be wondering about those cables dangling from the ceiling. It's what supports the tree to keep it from falling down. And now the star says 50 because the Durham Museum has been around for 50 years, opened its doors in 1975. And also you may be wondering, how do they bring that tree in here? Well, it's very simple. They take it through those doors back there. They take them down so pickup trucks can squeeze through the doors with the tree, and they have to take down the pillars too, so the tree can squeeze through as well. And also, the pickup trucks then drag the trees through the doorway, and then lots of people would see it be dragged in as it would go in its spot. Now you can see that says taxi cabs up there because that's where people would catch taxis. But I'll discuss more about this building when it's the 100th birthday of this building. Because right now I have to exit because they're about to close. But I'll explain more outside, folks. Oh yeah, these... wonder how they would get trucks so wide through these doors. They're about, say, 20 inches wide. They can't just saw these down. Kind of tough how they do it. Maybe one day I'll see the process of them doing it. Anyway, let's go outside since the museum's just about to close. So here we are out in Omaha's skyline. So there is the Burlington station we just looked at. And as you can see, that shelter's not original because when they had it as a working train station, it was never like that. And also, it's been like that since they brought the steam engine here or after they sold the diesel back to Union Pacific. And as you can tell by that slope back there, is the roof of the stairs. And oh yeah, Dakota 3001, they were playing Christmas music in there because this is the last week for Christmas at Union Station. On this track right here is where Union Pacific would display trains, and also that wood platform is where the original is one of the original platforms where the platforms would have been. And right where that wall is the front end of engine 1243, which we just looked at. And also, I will want to say that about where those tracks are covered by, or where there are dirt and gravel around those tracks in the middle by that, you see that, if you can see that red pile of rocks right there. The Big Boy 4023 and DDA 40X Centennial Locomotive 6900 were kept back here, and they would just be viewed from inside the station till over 20 years ago, which was in 2005 when they moved them to their permanent location at Lauritzen Garden at Kennefic Park, just near Lauritzen Gardens here in Omaha. And also there were lots of tracks around here when it was a working train station. Now there's still light inside the Durham Museum. You can see the windows. That's because you can see the top of the caboose and you can barely see the steam engine. And the caboose is like the tallest piece in the building, I believe. But I will explain what railroads there used to be. When the building's 100 years old. Now let's have a look at this part of the building. And so you could see right there, right to where those doors are right there. I did mention to you that the corridor used to be right there, and there would be stairs on each platform. It's kind of a warm January day here in Omaha right now. We're supposed to get snow on Friday. So as I mentioned, yeah, Henry, it is windy. That's what I said. So as I was saying, I'm going to say that on these tracks here is where the Big Boy would have been parked. Sometimes they display equipment, like over 10 years ago, they displayed the Union Pacific 1995 Chicago Northwestern Heritage Unit here for when the Chicago Northwestern Historical Society had a convention here in Omaha or something. And they had the Big Boy parked in a fence to keep it till they gave it a good new permanent home where people could get up close to it as they could. So that's the Burlington station right there, where it now serves as a news station. And also, as I mentioned, Amtrak's California Zephyr serves this station, that station right there. I don't know if you can see clearly, but it's that station with lights that are glowing. I'll just get up close to show you. I know it's hard to see, but I'll point it. So it's that building right there. The California Zephyr stops here 2 times a day. And also, Union Pacific trains use these tracks each day. And at College World Series, Union Pacific trains the passenger train would go from these tracks all the way to there and into the Burlington yard near where Kennefic Park is, and then brings it into home plate at Charles Schwab Stadium.
Where is for Chicago? Chicago por allí, no?
Pardon?
Chicago.
Chicago that way.
Allá.
Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy.
Yeah. That's the line of train, maybe, no?
That station was served by CB&Q.
For Chicago.
The Amtrak train heads to Chicago, that direction where I'm pointing. I was helping someone out. Well, Henry, it's not very cold. Although I'm wearing my coat, just in case it is cold, but I do see some people without coats on or extra layers. And yeah, there used to be a track down there, right behind on the other side of the pillar, but I'll take you to it. The tracks would have been about right where this roadway is, but now it's used as a road for service vehicles that are used to help fuel, like the fuel truck helps refuel the Amtrak locomotives so they're ready for their long mile journey. I think they do that I think they also do that in Denver, Salt Lake City, and that's about all I know. They fuel them up in Chicago, and then once they're here, this is a rest stop, a smoke break stop where several people would have to take a break, stretch their legs, and crews would get changed. And yeah. Well, everyone will explain more about this when I stream here, but I'm going to discuss one end of Union Station real quick. The Union Pacific Museum's Facebook page announced that it turned 95 yesterday, but that's not even true. It will be on the 15th of January that this building was completed back in 1931. So on January 15, 2031 is when I'll be here to give a live stream tour and discuss the building's history and show you all around and such. So 10 days before the building would turn 85, I would record the very first video for the channel. So there's the door where we exited. And I'm not too sure how they would even squeeze pickup trucks through here, through these doors. That's gotta be impossible. But let's look up there. Yeah, looks like they're welded together, but I don't know how they really take them down. But I know I did see a live stream video where they show it entering and how they squeeze the door through the tree through the doors. figure out. I'll explain more in 5 years, folks. So here is the front end of the building. So about right here's where I stood when I filmed or maybe about right here's where I stood when I filmed the very first video for the channel. So right about here, I'm gonna say I was about, probably about right here. So let's pan along the building so you can see what it all looks like. An almost 100-year-old station. Now this parking lot barely has enough room for as many cars as possible, but additional parking is below this parking lot, just underneath. So a lot of parts are still original. The museum has just closed, and also this shelter right here keeps rain and snow from making these stairs too slippery. And this is the additional parking lot down below, as you can tell. I just like how they put this, how this looks. And even sometimes people like to come up here to watch trains from that corner. So I'm just gonna look over ahead of it. Maybe hard to see over the ledge. Yeah, all you can see is that roof right there and just the top of it. Well, everyone, I'm just going to end the broadcast right here. I thank you all for tuning in today, and also thank you for along with me for my 10-year journey, and let's celebrate 10 years of this channel. And also, it's amazing that this channel is now 10 years old. I just can't believe it's been 10 years since I published the channel and recorded the slogan. A day later, go on YouTube. But what counts really counts. And the 15th of January, the anniversary date in 2031 when the building was completed. So you'll see me live streaming here when the building turns 100. So thank you all for tuning in, and have a good day, everyone. And next live stream video will be announced. Bye-bye, everyone, and have a good night.